Hi folks, and welcome to Freedom Forest. So last week was a pretty full-on week here. Middle of May is a really busy time for planting out, and we did a lot of planting, which I'm going to show you some of in a bit. So today I've decided to take it a little bit easier, have a little bit of a relaxed day. So I'm sat here in one of my favourite morning spots in our food forest in the beautiful full sun, but I thought I would have a cup of coffee with you guys, have a bit of a catch up about what we've been up to here. So lots and lots of planting. We have got nearly all of our summer crops in the ground now, both in the polytunnel and outside. And if you haven't seen our video from last week already, if you'd like to check out planting combinations for how we make the best use of space in our polytunnels, you can see about that in our last video, which I'll also link in here. So yeah, middle of May is our last frost date for us here in the south of England, and we are growing zone 9A. And so as long as the weather, kind of the forecast ahead of around about the middle of the month is looking good, that means we can start getting all of our really summer heat-loving plants in the ground. So we have put in loads of courgettes, probably far too many courgettes. Courgettes are great, we do a lot with them. We love to have them in abundance because we just give them away, or we can sell some. So yeah, it's not a bad thing to have too many of. So lots of courgettes planted. Nearly all of our winter squash are in the ground now. And I'm actually doing a lot more winter squash than I usually plant as well. And that's for the same reason. If we've got an abundance, we can give them away, we can sell them. We've got some space here that is just covered in black plastic to help control the areas until we can get to them to regenerate them in the way that we plan to. But I really don't like seeing the black plastic, and it just feels like we're not utilising the space as well. So I decided this year I'm just going to pull the plastic back in places, put mounds of compost in, and then let winter squash trail all over the black plastic. I had quite a big to-do list last week. If you follow us on Facebook, you may have seen that list. And I did do some additional things as well as what was on that list. But the only thing I didn't get done was fully planting all the pumpkins, half done on that job. So that one's going to carry over, but we actually need to get some more compost before I can finish that off. So hopefully we'll do that in the next couple of days. So one of the questions that we get asked a lot about what we do here is, what do you do with all the food that we grow? And the answer to that is mostly we actually eat it ourselves. It has always been the main priority for us to feed ourselves. So right now, mostly we are subsistence farmers, so we are growing food to be self-sufficient. And I estimate, just judging by what we have to buy in and when I'm putting together our meals, that we're probably around about 50 to 60% self-sufficient throughout most of the year right now, which is pretty cool. We would like to be more so, and actually the meal that we are least self-sufficient in really on a daily basis is actually our breakfast. But we've got some ideas with that over time that we will be implementing to hopefully become more self-sufficient in that way. And I think also it's probably about learning to change what you eat a little bit. So we don't necessarily have to eat breakfast cereal or toast or bread. I've got a good friend in New Zealand, and she actually eats fried vegetables for her breakfast every day, and it's her favourite meal of the day. So, you know, I think making adjustments like that as we learn more and get better at utilising what we grow here is definitely something that we are super keen to do. But it is actually surprising how much food you need to grow for yourself to be self-sufficient. And we always have surplus here, but I think as well that's something that you need to have, because you never know what's actually going to do well, or what may be a crop failure that year, or just what the animals will help themselves to more one year than they do others. So you always need to overgrow, which is why we have always got more than we can use ourselves. And so with that, we gift a lot of it to our friends and family, and we are working out ways that we can get it to our local community as well more, because one thing that we are not good at is throwing things away, especially things that we have put so much time and effort into growing. But it's quite a tough one, that, because trying to find a way to get smaller quantities of food to people to sell that is actually then cost effective is something that we find really quite difficult. So if you guys do have any good ideas on that, we would love to hear them. And like I said, we have got a few things in the plans going forward for how we will get better at doing this. But also one of the things that we've learned is, yes, certainly the market gardening route, selling a whole array of vegetables and fruits, probably isn't going to be the route for myself and Dan. But sales of some of the stuff we do here is definitely something that is in our plans. But what we're learning is that it's probably best to specialise in certain things. So over the 5-6 years that we've been growing food together here, we're now starting to feel confident in certain crops, and these are the ones that we're going to focus on for selling in the future. And then the next question that comes after what we do with all the food that we grow here is, why do we grow so much food for ourselves? And that is definitely something that's changed for me since I very first started growing veggies for myself. And I initially started doing it probably just because my granddad used to grow beans and cucumbers and tomatoes, and it was just for that good life feel, because I could do it. And then you quickly learn, as many of you will know, I'm sure, that when you grow food for yourself, it tastes so much better. It's fresher, it's generally more nutritious, and you've got a connection to it because you've seen the whole process and you've put energy into it yourself. And so there is a massive reward that comes with doing that. So that's what got me hooked. And then as I learned more, as I moved through life, I started to learn more about the food that is available to us to buy. And whilst there are many amazing things about this modern world that we live in, there are also some really sad things too. And one of those is the lack of respect and love that we have for the way that food is grown en masse for humanity. And unfortunately, there is not a lot of love or care for the land and for other parts of nature. It's just seen that we need the volumes, and I understand that we need food on volume to feed human beings, but I also have experienced enough of both farming and growing food myself to believe that there is a way that we can do it better, and that we can grow enough food to feed people whilst being kinder on the planet. And you know, that's actually one of the reasons why we do what we do here at Freedom Forest. And why we make the videos as well is to try and show people that it can be done whilst being kind to nature, and that you can grow abundance, and that you can feed lots of people in this way. And also to hopefully inspire people to grow food for themselves. You know, hopefully if you see the rewards that we get and the enjoyment that we get from it, then more people will want to experience that for themselves as well. And unfortunately, some of the things that we found out whilst on this journey of growing is that modern agriculture doesn't grow food for taste or nutritional value. With all the F1 seeds that are bred, and even worse now, the GMO seeds, they are bred for yield and for shelf life. And so whilst the aim is to grow enough food to feed everybody, I feel that this is one of the reasons why humanity is so undernourished, whilst largely having enough food to eat. It's because the food that is being grown in this way does not contain the same nutritional value as food that is grown yourself or on a smaller scale, or grown with preferable farming methods. So that is really now why for us growing food actually feels more of a necessity than something we do just for a hobby. Now, of course, we do absolutely love doing it still, and it is completely our life now. It is something that we find hugely fulfilling. But it is also something that, in the sense of what's available to me generally to purchase, I don't think that I could go back to buying all of my food now that we've experienced the goodness of growing food for ourselves. One of the modern day progressions which we think is pretty cool that are getting popular at the moment are these solar powered portable generators. And today's video is actually sponsored by Anker Powerhouse, and we're going to drop a clip about their product in here. And these kinds of units are really cool for us with our off-grid setup. It means that we can charge them up during the sunny days and utilize the power of the sun, and then have a power bank in storage that we can use in the evenings or when we haven't got solar. And some of them, like the Anker Powerhouse, are really massively powerful and will replace your standard kind of generator. In the normal home setup, they are great as well, because a lot of them come with portable solar panels, so you can charge them up with the rays of the sun as well. And then you could run household appliances in the evening that you would normally use fossil fuels for. and any reduction in fossil fuels has got to be a good thing. They're also awesome for having a few luxuries if you're getting outdoors more, and getting outdoors more is definitely something that most people will benefit from and enjoy. So if you'd like to find out more about the Anker Powerhouse product, we've got a link in the description down below. So anyway, let's go and take a look at some of the things that myself and Dan have been planting this week. Okay, so here is the first bed with the squash in, and this is normally where we plant Three Sisters, but we're not actually doing the flower corn this year that we normally grow in this bed because we have just got a lot of other stuff going on, and we still haven't gotten around to processing the flower corn from last year yet, and fixing the tools that Dan has got to process it with. So instead this year we are growing beans up sunflowers. So we've got lots of giant sunflowers in this bed, and then the squash that I have got in here is delicata, which is a beautiful small winter squash with hard orange stripy skin, and it's absolutely beautiful and really, really sweet as well. And the sunflowers are something that over time we're hoping to learn how to grow and process for another source of food and protein and fat that we can grow for ourselves too. And then all along the front in this bed as well, I've got peas growing. Some are snap peas and some are peas for podding as well. So yeah, they're just attaching themselves to the fence and they can grow happily up there. This is the other bed where I've been planting out squash, and this is normally one of our Three Sisters beds as well here, and we've got sweet corn growing in this bed this year, and I will probably put some beans in, and then we've got a mixture of about 5 or 6 different squash plants that I've dotted around. We've got spaghetti squash, we've got blue Hubbard, we've got Ute, chicky curry, jumbo pink banana, and possibly one more I'm thinking. And this black plastic along here is where I'm going to be pulling back some of the layers and planting all the remaining squash. There's 24 squash planted in this bed, and there's 13 in the other bed that I already showed you. And I've still got all of these yet to plant. So we are going to have a lot of winter squash, and these guys really could do with coming out of their trays. But like I say, we need to get another load of compost in before I can plant these out. This is one of the other beds that Dan has been working on last week, and this bed needed a complete blitz of weeds and just stuff that had started to take over in here. But we've planted courgettes all along the front of this bed. There's probably about 9 or so courgettes, and this bed's also got lots of mashua all along the front here. It's got our Jerusalem artichokes all along the back, and then it's also got lots of strawberries, which, if I remember rightly, have pretty much spread naturally into here from strawberries that we had planted over the other side over here. And then he's also been putting sweet potatoes into this bed, and we may well get a good harvest from in here because it's nice, really nice loose soil, but predominantly he's put them in to act as a ground cover to smother out all of the sorrel which really had taken over this bed. So he just used all of the spare sweet potatoes after finishing our main bed. Right, so this area here has had a big overhaul as well. Lots of weeding, lots of fresh wood chip, and we normally do one of these 2 beds with sweet potatoes, but we've actually done both of them this year. So loads of sweet potatoes gone in here, and they are just settling in and finding their way, and then they will add a lovely ground cover to this area. And then all along the back of this bed, and then right around the corner here, is where we have perennial yacon plants as well. There's other plantings gone in here as well. We've got taro, which is something Dan will tell you more about in another video that we're doing lots of experiments with this year. So he's put taro all along the edges of both of these beds, which will look amazing and tropical with its big lush leaves if they take off. And then we've got some bananas which we've been dotting around. There's a banana here, his beautiful cannas, they've already been in. Another banana here. Yeah, we've been dotting around courgettes. So there's a courgette that I planted out a few days ago. And I've also planted about another 6 courgettes just dotted around in various places in the food forest as well. So I just need Dan to help me down into this bed here. And this is another big area he has been working on. And he has completely cleared and overhauled this area because it was being taken over by weeds and sorrel and goodness knows what. So yeah, it's been a big job. But in here, as you can see, he's planted more taro, and yeah, we will be sharing more with you about how our taro growing goes over this season in other videos, I'm sure. But yeah, so there's lots of beautiful tropical looking taro, more overspill of sweet potatoes, and again, same in here, more so it's just as a ground cover to smother out the sorrel than actually for a harvest. But if we do get any, obviously that's a bonus. But yeah, this area, we've not really shown you much in here before. This is kind of, we call it the food forest extension. And the food forest is just over here behind this hedge. And we've actually got some beautiful fruit trees. There's an apple tree, Winternellis pear tree, and then we've got these 2 beautiful medlar trees, and the blossom on them has been absolutely stunning for the last couple of weeks. So we might actually get a good harvest of medlar this year, which would be great because some of our other fruit trees aren't looking so productive this year. So it always changes every year. Well folks, I hope you've enjoyed having a catch up with us here at Freedom Forest today. If you have, we would hugely appreciate if you click the thumbs up button just below this video. That really helps our videos to get out there and be seen by more people. If you have any comments or questions, we always love hearing from you, so pop them down below as well. This also helps us to get our videos seen by more people and boost the dreaded algorithms. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Have a great week, and we will catch you here again soon. Thanks for watching. Peace and plants.